Hey everyone, it's Tusai Anime here, and we're here to talk about Chapter 4 Boruto 2 Blue Vortex and what it means to the future of this series. I think this was the perfect chapter to end off this volume that's for the time skip, because we finally see what had Boruto on edge when he entered the village. Boruto told us in Chapter 2 that Code's modification to the Ten Tails has created something that he won't be able to control. This chapter showed us what Code created. Since Code mixed his genetics with the Ten Tails inherited Code's ego. So now Code has accidentally created a brand new species with the hunger to consume chakra and feast on Boruto and Kawaki. This development in the series was unexpected, but this introduction of the God Tree clones with ego corrected a lot of issues that I kinda had moving forward with the time skip. My only issue moving into the time skip was Code being the antagonist of this series. We know Kawaki will assume that role eventually as the story continues, but Code just wasn't it. Code's just not him, bruh, and we have to accept that. But the introduction of these new characters, the God Tree clone, opens up a lot of new plot lines for the series. For example, we can get Sadara versus the Sasuke God clone. We can get Masuki versus one of these clones, because Masuki is a clone himself. There's a lot of ways they can explore these new characters and insert them into the plot of the time skip. This adds brand new tension. Not only do we have to worry about Kawaki switching roles with Boruto, now we have a new species on Earth that just wants to consume chakra, but their curiosity will give them the childlike mind to explore the world and interact with our characters in a way we never seen before. But it's time for me to stop glazing and get to the main topic of this video. I'm here to talk about Daemon, the unstoppable character that was introduced in Part 1 Boruto as Ida's little brother. Daemon falls into the common OP character trope that we see in a lot shonen series. For example, Satoru Gojo. He was so strong that the writer openly admitted that he's having a hard time writing the story because Gojo exists. So he killed them all. That's usually where you can go with characters like this. Either you kill them off or you make them a morally gray character that sits in the middle between good and evil. Daemon kinda has been placed in that position. He's very neutral when it comes to the dealings in the series. He just wants to protect Ida, his sister. If anyone crosses that line, he will kill them. He's not really involved in the plot outside of it. I think these God Tree clones will become Daemon's kryptonite, and Daemon will become a threat to the series. So you know it's theory time. I'm about to talk a bunch of nonsense that sounds good, but you know the motto? Just let me cook. In Part 1 Boruto, after Code faced his humiliating defeat against Daemon, he created an army of Clawgrimes out of the Ten Tails that Jigen had stored in his dimension. Code used his claw marks, which is a combination of his scientific ninja tech and his blood, to create these Clawgrimes. But through this process, Code accidentally gave the God Tree self-awareness and an ego. The combination of this ego and self-awareness gives the God Tree clones their own personality and their own free will, so they're not mindless beasts that follow Code's instructions. To understand the process that Code placed the Clawgrimes through, you have to understand the ego. The ego is the central field of all conscious decisions made by a human being or living organism. When a baby is born, they are born without an ego. They go through a process of self-realization throughout their years, and then they develop their ego. Once they have their ego, they'll start to display personality traits that are specific to their ego, allowing them to make decisions of what they like, what they don't like, how they interact with people, and etc. This makes the God Tree clones something like newborn babies in a new world, where their curiosity is getting the best of them and overpowering their basic instinct. Their basic instinct is to consume chakra, to eat. But because of Code, now they're able to interact with the world, and now they lust for knowledge. That's why they allow Boruto to escape. This will cause issues for the God Tree clones later on, because once a person is consumed by Code's Clawgrime, their DNA, well, chakra, becomes a part of the tree. Then a clone is created of the individual who's taken over. Sasuke was taken over by a Clawgrime, probably protecting Boruto, and that created a Sasuke God Tree clone. Same thing with Bug. The reason why I say this will be an issue, as their ego and their self-awareness continues to grow, the records of that that person that they have consumed will slip into the God Tree clone itself and start to interfere with that clone. That can be a possibility for these clones, which will be really cool to see, especially with the Sasuke and Boruto clone interacting, or if Sadara interacts with that God Tree clone. Regardless of their newfound ego and self-awareness, the Kallgrimes that haven't evolved into these new type of God clones have one instinct that is subconsciously rooted into their nature, and it's the consume chakra. The Kallgrimes consuming chakra based off of instinct is the kryptonite to Daemon's one ability of reflecting killing intent. When Daemon was first introduced, we learned that his ability is to reflect any killing intent, and later on in the series we witnessed limitless code versus Daemon. We learned from Bug that Daemon's palms have to be touching for his reflection ability to work, even though that really doesn't make sense because when we were first introduced to Daemon his palms weren't touching, but I guess there's ways you can work around that. I just don't see it. Regardless, Daemon can reflect killing intent. Intent versus instinct. Intent is the mindful choice and decision that an individual will make to do something. If that's what you intended to do, it's something you thought about, you calculated, and you acted on that thought. Kind of like when Kawaki first met Daemon and he thought about punching Daemon after he got beat up by Daemon and he instantly punched himself. That was a mindful thought that Kawaki had, and he intended to punch Daemon, and Daemon was able to reflect it. For the Kallgrimes, it's completely different. Think of the Kallgrimes as wild animals that act off of instinct. Instinct is deeply rooted in your subconscious. Think of a wild animal hungry. They don't kill for malicious intent. They kill because they're hungry, their instinct of survival. That's what a Kallgrime is without the ego, which was stated by the Jigen looking Kallgrime at the end of the chapter when they told Boruto they will allow him to escape because of their newfound curiosity and knowledge and self-awareness. The other Kallgrimes don't have that, meaning they're instinct based. Daemon cannot reflect the instinct of a wild animal that's just hungry, and we know the Kallgrimes are hungry for chakra. So here's my theory. I think Daemon is going to get cornered by a bunch of Kallgrimes and he's going to get snuck up on because of Code's ability. One of the Kallgrimes is going to catch Daemon off guard, turn him into a tree, and a new god clone with Daemon's ego will be released. Or Daemon's ability doesn't affect Otsutsuki. So what if his ability doesn't affect these 10-tailed Kallgrime creatures? Let's say the Jigen looking Shinju with an ego. What if his ability doesn't work on him? Uses the other Kallgrimes as an army, and he takes the role of the general and uses these Kallgrimes to attack Daemon, and Daemon becomes a tree either way. But a god tree clone with Daemon's abilities and his ego will be devastating for the protagonist side of the story, and also he'll just be a menacing antagonist, an evil Daemon. Just think about that. But that's my theory. Pull up in the comment section, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm out.